I do want to try and talk about an interesting aspect of our brains, of our minds. We're usually leaning toward one of two sides within our mentality, within our mind. And possibly some of that is perhaps genetic, but for sure it's got to do with environment and upbringing. And that is the capacity for pessimism or optimism. And also, in more practical terms, on a more psychological level, one is a sorry, I got interrupted. But one is the mentality of the victim, and the victim is one who places the blame external of themselves. When we point at externals and blame them and make that responsible for our emotional and psychological condition, our happiness or sadness, or then we are in a victim mindset, and that is extremely disempowering, because then the world outside of us can control and manipulate us, and that's a very disempowered way of living. The other side is a more empowered mental state. That's the state that will not take the blame route, but is more subconsciously thinking of how can I take control of the outside world. And to take control of the outside world is by taking control of the inside world. So instead of blaming the outside, we look inside and see how can we fix this. And the empowered state is the state where we do the inner work and we look at all the vulnerable areas where we could potentially be manipulated if we are feeling sad, if we are feeling out of control, if we are feeling frustrated, if we are feeling emotional pain. We look to the root of where those wounds began, and that is your inner trauma work. Your inner that is your inner trauma work, and you're looking at the wounds of rejection and abandonment and invalidation and disapproval, and feel into those feelings, and you realize if the outside world doesn't give you any of that, you have to give it to yourself, and you figure out how to give yourself the emotional and psychological validation, love, and approval. And basically that is how you patch up the holes in your bucket and fill yourself from within. When we do that, we empower ourselves, and nothing on the outside can shake us. So if you are leaning more towards the victim mentality of feeling the victim of the world and the people around you, I would encourage you to consider what I said. And first of all, stop with the blaming and take responsibility, take charge of your inner condition. Take charge. See where you can patch up the holes, because blaming the external world is going to leave you frustrated and feeling out of control, and that is the feeling of entrapment many of us are in. And that feeling of entrapment is then what leads to depression and addiction. It's a symptom of feeling out of control and being controlled by life's circumstances. I used to be there. So if you're falling on one side or the other of this spectrum, don't despair. It's not a fixed, set in concrete thing. You can change it. I changed it and totally turned myself around. And this victim mentality can show up in stronger waves and more subtle waves. Even people who are in this victim mentality of feeling influenced by the outside world are those who will turn to God for help. Okay, you're still very outside, externally focused, and we seek resolution from outside, from God in heaven or in the sky, from that spirit in the ether, right? We don't bring it on the inside, and at least not psychologically. Yes, we mentally assent that God is on the inside of us, Jesus is in our heart. There's still a psychological separation that will not acknowledge that this Jesus power is actually your power. See, as long as you believe that you're powerless and the power is in Jesus, you're still giving your power away and relying on an external source to fix your problems. But when you self-empower by becoming conscious that that power is actually you yourself, you empower yourself, and the externals of life do not control you anymore, like I said before. There's a very, I hope you can see the nuance, there's a very subtle difference in this perception. And I've brought that power into myself through the oneness consciousness in saying that I am the God source. I am the source of empowerment. See, my mind, the victim side in my mind is completely shut down. And it's really changed my life in a positive, good way. That I don't feel at the mercy of life, at the mercy of other people. I just bring all of that power and fullness into myself, mentally and emotionally, psychologically, and wow. It's all about mental health, guys. This thing here is the script writer and the actor to play out our thoughts and emotions and our beliefs. So if you believe that you are nothing and that you're powerless and that God is all powerful, you have given your power away. And it's not about believing whether there is an all-powerful God and where his location is. It all has to do with our psychology. If you bring that all-powerfulness within yourself, your life is going to change in a good and dramatic way. Sorry if we're going round and round on this, but I'm trying to find a way to state it more clearly, and it's so simple, I just keep repeating it. Anyways, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'm going to try and answer them for you there. Have a fantastic day.